Hercule Poirot really has gone silent. Even picked Venice to hide in.
And action.
Spirits may be silent, yet they do call.
Tonight, we are all afraid.
Agatha Christie has a timeless, classic ability to present people in situations, often dangerous or criminal ones, where we recognize their humanity, where the very, very subtle readings of human behavior are ones that we really respond to. Across the couple of films we've made, Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and now A Haunting in Venice, we are the lucky beneficiaries of a storyteller who understood people, and so her insight, her humanity, her compassion are what blesses anybody who gets a chance to make these pictures, and they are more than a collection of people in a murder game.
Murder on the Orient Express originally got started back in 2010, 2011 with some partners, our friends and producers, Mark Gordon, Simon Kinberg, and Ridley Scott, who each had interest in the property. We were always looking for interesting adaptations, and so we engaged with the Christie estate and spent some time making a deal. And then we hired Michael Green to adapt the novels, and we started with Murder on the Orient Express in part because it's probably the most well-known, but also I think it spoke to this notion of being able to cast an incredible ensemble of actors, which we don't see as much anymore.
God, you know, there's something about a tangle of strangers pressed together for days on end with nothing in common but the need to go from one place to another, then never to see each other again.
A passenger has died on the train.
I've been very fortunate on almost everything I've done, but never more than on these films working with Steve Asbell. And everyone wants to work with Ken Branagh. But the hardest part of adapting an Agatha Christie book is also the best part, which is the constant battle of how much to add versus how much to be faithful. And you want to be fidelitous to these wonderful books because they are wonderful.
Did we die?
But we get to add to it. We get a chance to come in and say, what can we bring to these characters? What can we bring to the setting? How can we add some surprise elements to the story and still honor the excellent story that's there?
We knew we wanted to do Death on the Nile second, and so we hired Michael again to adapt Death on the Nile.
I was sure Book was fibbing when he said he knew the Hercule Poirot.
Someone is dead.
The murderer is here.
And we'll stay here.
One of the fun things about being on the sets of these movies is there's always a 5-minute period where we go, if we get to make another one, what should it be? What if we went for one that no one sees coming? And the title Halloween Party was just too good not to read, and we saw the potential.
There's a party tonight for the children.
Halloween Party is about the murder of a child. It's actually one of the few Agatha Christie's that I remember my first reading of, because I read it when I was a child and I was quite scared by it because I was very surprised that a child was actually murdered in the first part of the story.
Is it not too frightening for the children?
Scary stories make life less scary.
And like many of Agatha Christie's stories, not all of them, it's a whodunit.
There have been 2 impossible murders.
Each murder appears committable only by phantom.
Call back the police. Tell them Hercule Poirot is on the case.
We changed the title from Halloween Party to Haunting in Venice in concert with the estate, for sure. And we thought that we were going to offer more of a closed, locked door mystery, in a sense, than the other films. Do it in an environment that was incredibly exotic, but that also fit in the timeline of the films that we had made. And this would be post-World War II, and we would find Poirot, having now been a veteran of 2 wars, as he says in the film.
I have seen too much of the world. Countless crimes, 2 wars, the bitter evil of human indifference, and I conclude, no God, no ghosts.
And so Venice, as a post-war Italy, a city slowly sinking into the sea, felt like a very interesting and a very delicious location.
Oh, sorry, cut 1 second. I beg your pardon.
I was so excited when I found out that Kenneth Branagh was first doing Murder on the Orient Express, because he was doing something traditional, but then he was putting his own spin on it. He accessed a lot of the grand themes that Agatha Christie was grappling with and sort of brought them to the fore and highlighted them in a way that other filmmakers haven't done.
We can all agree that the stories, while being incredibly entertaining and fulfilling mystery stories, also touch on deep human flaws that are as relevant today as they were years ago.
Murder on the Orient Express was about a very rigid Poirot being forced to confront moral ambiguity.
Murder on the Orient Express to me was grief, because part of what these stories are about is what will move someone, an average person, to murder. And in the first film, the idea that all of these people of these disparate backgrounds were motivated by the grief of having lost this child to this man. And the revenge is a function of that grief. That's what was so interesting about the end of the film, is Poirot had to reevaluate his notions of good and evil and to understand that there is a gray area.
Death on the Nile is Poirot versus sex, versus romance.
Death on the Nile is about love, the intensity of love, and how that obsession can drive someone to murder.
Haunting in Venice, we wanted to put Poirot up against something he really didn't know how to handle, which is ghosts, God.
Who are you talking to?
A child.
It is about the supernatural in a sense. Poirot is invited to a séance, and very quickly you're, as the audience, meant to believe that it's possible that he may be up against something he's never encountered, which is ostensibly murder by ghost. That all of his gray cells will do nothing in the pursuit of this answer because there's no rational answer.
You've got the look of a believer. You saw something.
I was under the influence. My subconscious mind assembled facts ahead of the rational.
The script for Murder on the Orient Express was just a script until it got to Kenneth Branagh. As director and as Hercule Poirot, the entire concept of what we were about just exploded. It crystallized. It became a franchise the minute we knew who was going to be playing it and the caliber of director who would be coming in. It suddenly exploded all of our imaginations of what this could be.
We had talked about a number of different ideas, but had never contemplated a director star. We were huge fans of Ken's, but had never worked with him at Fox. So we had talked about him as Poirot, but then I think the idea struck that perhaps we could have both. He could be the star of the film and direct. And we thought, he's never going to want to do that. That's a lot of work. But we sent him the screenplay and he loved it, and we immediately knew we had made the right choice.
A medium boasts of having a vision of murder. Now she is dead. One of you felt her eyes upon you, killed her, tried to kill me. No one shall leave this place until I know who.
One of the great traditions of these films and stories is that they tend to attract these incredible actors. And Ken has been able to put together wonderful ensembles for each film by creating an environment that's a play, creating a world that everyone wants to be a part of. And so for the first film, we were incredibly fortunate. Michelle Pfeiffer, Penelope Cruz, Leslie Odom Jr., Willem Dafoe, Olivia Colman, Daisy Ridley, and the list goes on. I mean, they were extraordinary. And in the second film, balancing this love story out, you had Gal Gadot on one side and then this incredible newcomer, Emma Mackey, who is one of the best actors I've ever seen. And in Haunting in Venice, we were lucky enough to have this incredibly eclectic cast of characters around Ken. Tina Fey plays this unbelievably great, almost Nora to Ken's Nick. You have Michelle Yeoh, who plays this incredible psychic. Jamie Dornan and Jude Hill, and Camille Cotin, also extraordinary French actress. And so it gives an incredible lift to the story that Ken is able to have and play against these wonderful actors.
It is always one of the great pleasures of working on these films to have this new company of actors who usually don't necessarily know each other or worked together before, and bringing them into a world where they can trust each other quickly. We need to bond them. We have ensemble scenes where that kind of quality in the acting brings out the best in the screenplays.
Mr. Poirot, there is a lady here. She says she's a friend of yours.
I have no friends.
She says she's
We can go on to the next line before everybody has gone bonkeronkers.
When he's directing often himself, which is a very hard job, yet he makes it look very easy. He has that experience, he has that capacity, he's that fine an actor that he can come in and switch hats very quickly, look at his own performance and know what's needed.
I am retired from cases résolument. Just do one more. Did I get all the lines there?
You don't really notice the switch of him being an actor. It's very natural. He understands an actor's mindset.
He's very smart, turns out. Of all of the people I've Zoomed with over the last year, he's one of the top 4 smartest people. But he's top 4, he's top 4. And then I'll be like, oh no! Comedy dancing.
We spent a lot of time breaking down the character. He gives such incredible thought and detail and life to every character, and guides you through the creating of the character's backstory.
Damn it, Ferry, not now. Pull it together. That's good. Just contain the voice even more. That was great intensity. Damn it, Ferry, not now. Pull it together.
It's really fun and exciting to kind of work with someone like that who's just going to teach you so much.
He said, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. How do you feel about ghosts? How do you feel about God? And how do you feel about housekeeping? And he keeps on asking questions even on set. Before a scene, how do you feel about that moment? What's in your mind? Are you in a hurry to go home? And what matters to him is your answer and your perspective of the character.
He has a pretty strong idea of the characters and how they want to look and sound, how they dress and everything. But then he's also open to what the actor has to say about it. But he's usually so spot on.
Ricardo and Jamie feel as though the arms are doing that. That tells a big story in our shot.
Every time he talks to you, he brings a little different nuance. I can watch him with Kelly or Tina, and every time he whispers something to them, the next time she does another take, something extraordinary will come out.
The level of the attention that he has to every single actor, and we are a lot, many actors at the same time, he knows how to take the maximum from every one of us.
Every actor loves being in costume. Everyone loves a period costume. Every actor comes in and either wants a hat or a mustache because they're just fun, and in most movies you don't get to wear a hat or a mustache like this. It's part of the joy of doing Christie movies is that you get to transport to another time and another place when people spoke better and dressed better.
I don't often get to play characters who are stylish. I hope I get a hat. Hello, young man. Is your mother at home? It's this really incredible look. It really informs your posture and everything about the way you move through the space. Sammy is brilliant. Every frame looks like a painting.
It's really exciting to bring 40s to life because you don't often get that point in history where you can do the slightly heightened designer look of it. It's normally kind of wartime, which is very specific, but utilizing that slight Hollywood drama within the context of our story and then looking back as well and using some 30s stuff. A lot of the colours we've used are kind of have a parallel from that sort of Renaissance painting into the 40s.
Ken understands the ensemble element of how to deal with actors, but he also understands the potential of the cinematic experience and designs each set, each movie in a way that's going to take advantage of that.
So don't lift it too high, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We shot the first 2 on film. We're presenting this one in IMAX, so he's very much aware of and a fan of the cinematic experience, which is what we're all after.
In the first 2 films, the first part of the movie is about the energy and the speed of leaving on a luxurious mode of travel, a fantastic train or a wonderful cruiser down the Nile. The big shift was to take the bones of Agatha Christie's mystery and take it out of England and put it into Venice. We want to give them that vicarious thrill of being in this really quite beautiful, labyrinthine, eternally surprising, sort of electrifying cities.
I think Venice in itself conjures up ideas of fantasy and a sort of darkness, and a haunting is an unbelievable backdrop to tell a story like this.
We are shooting in real Venice. We chose shots to do that we wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. It was to really feel that you are there because we were there, and we've done everything we could there.
It was critical that we spent time in Venice, a city that really invites you to the mysterious, whether it's through people being behind masks, the fog and mist, being lost in alleyways that are shadow-filled, or being in front of palaces that are gorgeously ornate and rather intimidating. It was a wonder. To be able to put Venice on screen like this as a filmmaker is a real privilege.
From the very first read of the script, the palazzo was a character.
There it is.
In Venice, we say every house is haunted or cursed.
Michael Green had really cleverly reimagined Halloween Party into a Venetian palazzo environment, which is just a production designer's dream, really. When we first met, nobody really knew how we were going to achieve what was in the script. I was blown away with the possibilities. How we were going to achieve them, I had no idea.
So in this case, the amazing haunted palazzo that we found in real Venice, we recreated largely at London's Pinewood Studios.
I've never ever shot on a set quite as beautiful as this. Obviously we're in Venice, but we're on a soundstage at Pinewood. Beautiful set, literally, I mean, it just transports you.
Well, it is a remarkable palazzo.
You can have it.
Ken is really insistent that the world would be a 360, completely believable world that we inhabit. Everything was lined up to look through a door to see from room to room to room, and it was the reason why the sets were built as composite. So the entire film is set over 3 sets, one at each floor of the palazzo.
A lot of times when you make a movie, you're in one piece and then you go around the door and there's nothing. This set, you can really walk through it like a house for a long time.
So you felt like you were in a real enclosed building. What that does is it creates a sense of authenticity, essentially, and we're all really in this place. Anything that can help and aid the experience of we're all kind of trapped in this place and very strange things are happening.
It gives an energy to the scenes, being able to shoot in something that is this. I've never seen a set like it.
There's a trompe-l'oeil at the end of this corridor, which is like an extension of the corridor, but the door actually becomes a key to the story, where we discover it's actually the entrance to a secret passage. What I was really interested in doing was trying to make sure that this incredible palazzo didn't feel like one room. So you had a different kind of atmosphere depending on where you were. So the color palette kind of moved as we moved up through the house.
The goal was to, at any moment at which the camera was still, or a character was still, or our audience were merely looking at what was going on, that there was a sense of unease. The unexpected was always simmering in the air.
Some things can't be seen.
Yeah, definitely wanted it to be dark. Every image was very, very carefully thought out and carefully executed, and that we would resist any form of movement and kind of limit ourselves. It would force us to tell a story in a certain way and stick to it. Often a limitation stops being a limitation when it's enforced for a creative reason. So we have tried to make the audience feel like they're in that palazzo and feel the agony of the mystery.
I felt that I was in Venice and I'd gone into one of those scary palazzos. It's just lit by candlelight, and then you actually hear the rain outside. It was like...
It's as terrifying and ominous and interesting as it needs to be. Just spending time in here, you get transported.
Miss Reynolds, everything is prepared for you in the salon.
The unholy Ms. Reynolds. She's a spiritualist, a medium. I tell you this, Ms. Reynolds, I sat at a séance. Things happened.
Tricks. This séance was a challenge because it's a balancing act.
I'd love to bring them on, sit them down and shoot so they don't rehearse. I don't actually want them to go through, because they've never done something like this on this picture before, where it's up to them to have cues. And some of what may go wrong or go right is, of course, what I want in terms of the atmosphere of the séance. So I'm looking to buy the event of first time out. When you do something like a séance, the goal was to have our cinema audience feel the genuine and authentic surprise of the participants at what went on. So we started with the premise that they would not rehearse with Michelle Yeoh, who was in the center of the table, running the seance, and we would give them no advance warning about what would happen. They knew what the script said, but in terms of what happened, how Michelle acted it, all of that was going to be sort of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I mean, we were not going to manipulate or hurt people, but we were simply going to say, this scene is about surprise. You know what? We're going to surprise you.
No one touched me until the trances ended. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know how I'm gonna get around that. When I spoke with Kenneth, right away said, it has to be real. It has to be physically that you are doing it by yourself. It's like, what are the things that you can do that is physical, that is in your face, that will shock you? So it was like, how do I scare the hell out of them? And Kenneth would have to do it in such a way where he captures my performance and their expressions at the same time, with all of them sitting around me.
It just got cold. Does anyone else feel a chill?
With Michelle, it's quite a big ask to be had of your good self as you experience this seance for us. She has an innate respect for things and forces that we mere humans do not understand. So that concern also, I think, has a wonderful impact on the performance.
We hadn't seen the seance room before, but we got told from Ken, everyone be prepared. As soon as we go in, there'll be no directing, just we're going straight away. We all went in, we took our seats, and it was an immediate action.
None of us, when we were watching Michelle, knew what she was going to do. So that actual take of us is us witnessing her for the first time.
Michelle Yeoh's chair starts spinning, and we didn't expect that.
Underneath this floor, there was a man with the wheel turning around the chair.
What is happening?
Alicia, showing me.
We were like tricks all over the place.
On the balcony, not alone. She didn't jump.
Just, what is happening? And they knock things over with strings that you're really watching us react to that.
And I went, and I was genuinely scared. I had to hold on to the edge of my chair, and the doors bursting open, the wind, water flying in. I was so terrified when it actually happened.
You know, we didn't know what Michelle had to bring to the table in terms of where she's going to take her performance.
It has to be so visceral. But getting to that point, I had nightmares. I've never gotten sleep paralysis in my life until working on this film.
You're not scared of ghosts?
They called cut and no one spoke. We're all just a bit like, what just happened?
I don't want to die. I scared the hell out of myself. And so it was a little theatrical performance that Kenneth and our amazing camera crew, the way it was shot and filmed, and from the expressions, I think it worked pretty well.
I admit I cannot solve all of our methods in this moment, but of course I will.
There's just a wide appeal to Agatha Christie. And here's the thing, you will come across a lot of people who say that they're fans of Agatha Christie, but will then insert a caveat, but she's not really that good of a writer. I completely reject that. Agatha Christie is a genius. Agatha Christie manages to sketch in just a few words, where the mystery is taking place, who these people are, what they look like, what they're feeling like, and to do so with this simple and straightforward language, and no one did it better than Agatha Christie.
The audience sort of started out as older people who were well aware of the novels, but as we've gone forward, it's expanded to younger people who are attracted by the cast, attracted by what they hear about the film.
One of the fun things about meeting Christie fans, first of all, they're legion. They come out of you from all corners. You go to any social function, someone's gonna be like, oh, Agatha Christie, you do Agatha Christie? They get excited.
These films, they're not necessarily just a who-done-it. They're a how-done-it, a why-done-it. I'm not sure how many done-its, but there's a lot of done-its. And that's a credit to Ken and to Michael and to Ken's filmmaking team for creating that experience that lives alongside and sometimes undergirding Christie's work, but never on top of it.
I never dared to let myself think of it as a trilogy because we never knew if we'd be that lucky. It kind of hit me when we were making the third one. Oh my God, we got to make 3 of these films. That's incredible. The idea that we might get to do more is just beyond imagination. Certainly hope we get to. We can easily see another trilogy on the back of it because they're incredibly fun to make.
It's been a very great privilege to rejoin a character that the audience have taken to. Hercule Poirot, he's Agatha Christie's favorite detective. Poirot continues to fascinate us because he continues to be surprised by what human beings are capable of and what passion will lead them to.
I know only that we cannot hide from our ghosts. Whether they are real or not. We must make our peace with them and live life somehow.